It is time for 5 with Freddy. Freddy, great to have a launch today. The New South Wales Rugby League, incorporating, of course, the country rugby league. So it's getting bigger.
Absolutely. Speaking to young Jack Simpson from Camden, how he had to drive down to Wagga and ask him about a trip, he said it was fantastic. You know, there's like camaraderie. And when I think about our bus trips going to different places, they were awesome. And he did mention that he lost, but I do remember the bus trips back were always pretty fun too. But good to see the footy back. I get something to do now. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, let's go second subject on country rugby league, because it is so important, isn't it? And I know that you're about to head off again over the next few days, heading country. You were in Bega the other day, and look, ravaged by fire, scorched by fire and floods. They've been hammered. They
have. They've been in drought for the last 10 or so years. So went from drought to fire to flood. So there's nothing comes easy in New South Wales at the moment. But the great thing was that they just come together. Like through the fires, the people just come together. The RFS did a brilliant job. I think the government really stood up, New South Wales government, and just set about just working out how we're going to obviously deal with the fires, and now how we come out of that. And I think sport plays a huge part. We've got some Andrew Johns and Laurie Daly Cups there run throughout the country, so they're very well organised. They do a great job, and then now it's our chance. We've got to get kids playing. There's some tough age groups there that kids are sort of just getting a little bit isolated, and whether it's sitting on the lounge playing games or whatever it is, but just getting them part of teams and feeling part of a group. So that's something that we really is precious to us. That is the most important part of our job.
And I think that we can reassure people in the country that this is an opportunity for the game to get better now that it's all part of the larger organisation of the New South Wales Rugby League.
And we're all blue.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about maroon in our outfit anymore. There was country with maroon and yellow. I always found that a little bit odd. So we're all blue now. So that's what we do. We bleed blue.
Yeah, and all do it together. One for all and all for one, isn't that the way the saying goes? What about 22 all, this game down there in Bega? Fantastic that it raised attention and helped the country area, but it was a good game of footy and two teams that'll be interesting in 2020.
Yeah, I think that both teams will do better than they did last year. Both teams, 2 days before the game, did about 6 or 7 hours of community visits, and in speaking to the players, it was time well spent. They saw fire-ridden areas. They saw, areas that hadn't been hit. So they actually got a real good chance of seeing actually went on and what people were dealing with, and had conversations with people who lost homes and how tough businesses are doing down there. So I think that in itself brought a different level to the game. As soon as they walked out, it just had a little bit of intensity in the eye. And speaking to Mitch Moses after the game, and the game was good without being great, as most trials are, but and he said, it was a weird feeling because, you wanted to do well because the people, all turned out. It was a packed crowd. It was an awesome day. He said, but it was still a trial match, and you're sort of going, and maybe that it's a bit of confusion in the players, what level of intensity. But it was a great day. Absolutely loved it. Drove home, and it was interesting, the sort of area from Bega to Cambargo, and as you got into Bateman's Bay, there was areas there that were so lush and so beautiful with all the rain. The grass was like knee high and as far as you could see, and then all of a sudden you'd hit areas that are, just burnt matchsticks for as far as you could see, and you could see it on the ridges across the top as well. It was incredible how much it actually burned down. So, and then obviously driving through towns where, just ashes. So it was quite alarming, but I was really happy I drove home.
Very confronting, but it's good for young footballers, young people to be confronted by this, because that is the real world. Mitchell Moses, just quickly, he has a great opportunity here this year. I mean, James Maloney has gone to the Catalans, and there's another half spot there.
Saw James scored the winning try just a couple of days ago. So good on you, Jimmy. Did a great job for the Blues. I think the big thing about Mitchell Moses on the weekend against Penrith, he scored a try, he scored 2 tries, but he came off 2 great tackles. One was to save a try on Josh Mansour, and one was another one on Josh as well, he's a strong bloke, he's a hard tackle, and both times he got the better of him. So, I've always thought if halves base their game around being strong in defence, the rest just comes easy.
All right, Fiji. I'm excited about this. I've thought for a long time, and we've gradually seen it, that we need the South Pacific, and we need to help the South Pacific. And Fiji being part of the New South Wales Rugby League structure is fantastic.
Yeah, they bring so much to our game. Is the Vunivalus and those sort of blokes and what they can do with the footy. Mike Asiva, he's just, without him, you sort of lose, you're losing 10% of your crowd. So they just bring this quality to our game. And Andrew Johns and I, when we were going over so long ago, and the biggest thing you noticed was, of course, the kids are living in villages and they're playing every day. It's just they're all athletic. Every single kid that is, 8 years old is all out playing. As we were throwing footies, they all could pass the ball. They could all pick the ball up off their feet. They had that, athleticism about them. So hopefully they do a great job over there. Obviously, Petero Civoniceva is at the head of it. He's the chairman of the Silk Tails. And I just feel like if you can have a well-organised competition over there and a well-organised team, it'll be a pathway for the kids. And I think that's the first step in really seeing a lot more Fijians play our game. It
was fantastic. It was and is fantastic to have Petero involved, and we spoke to him at the launch.
How was he in his little blue shirt? He just sort of
little blue shirt,
a big blue shirt. He's just hiding at the back. You could just see he was sweating it out, and we had to point him out. It was a shame we couldn't have thrown him out and had it on video, but he can't play anymore, so we'll allow him in.
What was he like to play against?
Oh mate, tough. Well, mate, they had and the Australian team as well. They had Petero and Shane Webke. Just absolute no nonsense, and they just ran hard and they tilted in a way where they asked you really hard questions that if you want to tackle me, you're going to get hurt. So I always used to love playing for Australia. I remember they were two very different players as well, and we used to get up at sort of 6 o'clock every morning because everyone's a bit jet lagged, and the whole team would pretty much walk over to this big indoor gym, and it was a public place, and we'd be swimming and doing some exercise. We used to do that every day. But Shane Webke had run that way, and he just used to run 5K down this like a sort of channel. They have them sort of in and around the backs of towns and stuff. And he'd just go running on his own for 5Ks. But Petero, I remember we dedicated a whole year of spinning his name around. So it was Petero, second receiver, Petero. Anyway, I won't go into the other ones, but there was a lot. But he was a wonderful person and an extremely tough player.
All right, well, let's finish. There's 5 and a bit more. I think we've had a few more, but we haven't done it for a while, so we might as well. You told us a little story about, everyone thinks about your return to Origin, that try, arm in the air when you made your comeback, but there was a Petero involvement in that.
Well, the first game, so that was the second game, went up to Brisbane, and it was the only time I ever played at Suncorp Stadium. And so I'm standing there, and I was always the catcher, and I was ready to catch the ball, and so Darren Lockyer has absolutely fluffed the kickoff, and it's sort of wobbled, and instead of hitting me nicely like you see in the games, I had to pick it up off the ground. This is my first touch in Origin footy, packed crowd obviously, and I got the ball, turned around, and my front row was 20 metres away, so I couldn't pass it to him. I looked everywhere to pass it to someone, and then so I had to take off, and I just naturally started going a bit sideways towards the middle of the field, and then I saw Webke, Civoniceva, and it was too late. I couldn't run any further across, so I had to straighten up and got knocked out. Basically, just got smashed. But the best way ever to start a start of Origin, I thought, well, it couldn't get any worse than that.
Versus them. The Maroons from right to left. And the ball bouncing down on the 10-metre line. And a hard-hit first tackle of the match on guess who? Freddie Fittler.
There you go, they're 5 with Freddy.
Cheers.